Welcome to a guide on how to prepare to debug apps on Chromebook and an Android phone. In this case, I will cover how to use RenderDoc and Android Studio. The guide consists of the following parts. First part is setting up a Chromebook, and it will be done in this order. The second part will go over preparing things on Windows PC side. The third part is launching the debug tools on Chromebook. And lastly, the fourth part is launching the debug tools on Android phone. Let's begin with preparing everything on the Chromebook itself. Developer mode needs to be enabled. However, doing that will wipe all the data of the Chromebook. To enable developer mode, press a key combination of escape, refresh and power button. In my case, the power button is on the right side, but other models have the power button in the top right corner of the keyboard. This will enter the recovery screen. Here press Ctrl and D and confirm disabling OS verification by pressing enter. Then the first round of waiting begins, which will take a couple of minutes. Once the device reboots in developer mode, all of the data from the device will be wiped. So proceed with the usual setup, connecting to Wi-Fi, logging into your Google account, and so on. Second step, open Options, click on Linux, and click on the only button on the whole page to turn it on. There begins the second round of waiting. Fortunately, there will be no need for a reboot this time. Third step, go back to the Linux tab in Settings, and with a handful more options to select from, go to Develop Android Apps and switch Enable ADB Debugging to On. This will force you to reboot the Chromebook again, thus yet another round of waiting begins. When the Chromebook is done rebooting, you will be asked to confirm that you did want to enable Android debugging, so just confirm it. Next goal is to enable GPU debug layers for RenderDoc. Do so by going to Settings, Apps, then the arrow next to Google Play Store and Manage Android Preferences. Click on System, then Developer Options. The last option under Debugging section is what you're looking for. Additionally, you can also disable verifying apps over ADB here. Since, as of yet, a Chromebook cannot be used for Android debugging over a USB cable, you need to use ADB over Wi-Fi. Make sure the PC that will run the debug apps and the Chromebook are connected to the same network for it to work. The last thing needed is knowing the IP address of the Chromebook. With Enable Developer Mode, when you go to Network Settings and click on the connected network, you can view additional information that is normally hidden, such as the IP address. Make sure to remember it, as we will need it further down the guide. Okay, Chromebook can now be put away for a moment, and we will move on to preparing the PC. Okay, 4 things need to be downloaded. First is RenderDoc. In this case, I will be using version 1.12, Android Studio, ADB drivers for Windows, and a custom RenderDoc Android package for architecture x86 64. The link in the description leads to a package named renderdoc.renderdoccmd.x86. In fact, it's a 64-bit version, but due to how RenderDoc selects which APK file to install, a bit of a workaround is needed. The only downside is that running a remote server takes a bit more time with it. In the future, once another version of RenderDoc is released other than 1.12, this APK file in particular will no longer be suitable for use and will need to be recompiled. Install the first 2 programs like you would normally do, and extract ADB drivers into some easily accessible location. In my case, it's C drive/ADB. Go to a folder with adb.exe and shift right click to open up context menu with the option to run PowerShell window in that directory. Still remembering the previously checked IP address of the Chromebook, type adb connect command. Port is unnecessary, as if not specified, the default port will be used and it should work. Now check your Chromebook and allow connection. It will display a prompt. Once that is done, you should be able to use Android Studio just fine. Because of the previously used adb connect command, the Chromebook will appear on the list of devices. You can select it. In this case, it's labeled as Google Octopus. Run the app to see that everything works so far. For this example, I am using an OpenGL example from Android NDK repository. That's Android Studio for you. Moving on to RenderDoc. Before launching, navigate to the installation folder of RenderDoc. Then go to Plugins, then Android, and drag the downloaded APK file into this directory, while making sure the file names matches this one. Now you can open RenderDoc on Windows, and in the bottom left corner there is a context selection list. If the adb connection is still open, the Chromebook will also appear here, also labeled as Google Octopus. Upon selecting it, there will be a handful of commands executed by RenderDoc. It's a bit of a mess going on here, since it tries several unnecessary things before launching the remote server on the Chromebook. Hence the last round of waiting begins. After this, if everything is successful, RenderDoc will appear on your Chromebook. The PC context will change to connected, and that's it. Now you're ready to start capturing stuff. Running those two debug apps on an Android phone is way easier on the other hand. You can just use the USB debugging in this case. Enable developer options by clicking 7 times on build number. Enable developer options and enable Android debugging. Connect the phone with a USB cable and profit. Now the device will appear in RenderDoc context selection and Android Studio's device list. That's it.